What are the 10 best horses for endurance? This list might actually surprise you. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and also comment down below if there's any other horses which you are competing in endurance, which are non-traditional horses. And the thing is great about endurance is I've seen miniature horses competing, I've seen halflingers competing, so really, you know, there is no limits. However, I'm going to be diving into the 10 best ones, and probably some of the ones on this list you wouldn't even have guessed or thought about. My name is Crystal Kelly, and I've had the pleasure of working almost all around the globe with horses. I've worked on 5 different continents, and I actually am a show jumper, but I got into the sport of endurance after I did a little thing called the Mongol Derby in 2014. So I now have a little part Arabian mare and a thoroughbred, and we compete, my husband and I, in endurance, and you know, I love trail riding and riding around outside. We've also done long riding with our horses. We actually rode them across Ireland. So in this list, I'm not just going to be sharing with you the 10 different breeds that you can choose for endurance, but I've actually ridden almost every single horse on this list. So I'm going to share with you my personal experiences and why I think these horses are such great horses for endurance. So let's dive in. Number 1, this one probably doesn't surprise you. It's a Mustang. Mustangs are absolutely amazing horses. They're very sure-footed, very sturdy, very hardy horses. And if you have a Mustang, like, I don't have to convince you, these horses, they mean business and they can go all day long. So Mustang horses are absolutely great for endurance, and I highly recommend, if you live in the USA and you're thinking about a non-traditional horse, there are so many Mustangs that need adopting, and this can be a really great horse. And the one great thing about Mustangs is because, you know, I mean, they have a past, they were wild, you know, they know what they're doing, and if you can develop a relationship with them, I will say that there is nothing that those horses won't do for you. And I've experienced riding a Mustang before, and that's exactly what I felt. I felt like once that horse and I clicked, and don't get me wrong, it took a little bit of time to get there, but once that horse and I clicked, I mean, that horse would walk through fire for me. So I absolutely loved that horse, and I would highly recommend anyone to ride a Mustang. Number 2, this one also is not going to surprise you. It is an Arabian. Now, like I said, I have a little part Arabian mare. She's a little machine, and the thing that I love about Arabians is they are extremely intelligent. Now, for some people, they might be a little bit too intelligent, to be honest. So with Arabians, you know, you need to know how to ride them, but more importantly, you need to just let them go. Just let them do their thing. They know what they're doing, and really, they are little machines. They can, you know, like a little engine, they can just go and go and go. And I mean, endurance is what they were designed to do. They cool off quickly because they were, you know, desert breeds. And for endurance, you know, I don't need to say anything. We already know they are truly amazing horses to ride. Now, the next ones on the list you probably wouldn't be expecting. Number 3 is the Marwari horse. Now, I lived in India for 2 years. I've ridden lots of Marwari horses, and it was really strange to me that for some reason a lot of the Indians, like a lot of the local people, didn't want to use Marwaris for endurance. For some reason, the British had brought thoroughbreds, you know, long time ago, and for some reason, a lot of the local people, they think that thoroughbreds are a little bit classier, and they wanted to ride thoroughbreds in endurance. And you know, I'm going to talk about thoroughbreds later, but the Marwari horses are incredible for endurance. Okay, they're a bit small. They're maybe like 15 hands. They have those curved ears which point at the top. They're absolutely adorable. And as far as riding, they're a little bit high strung. They're kind of like Arabians in that energy wise, but they're very smooth because they can have a special gait and trot, so they ride actually very smooth, and their bones are a little bit thicker than Arabians. They're a little bit like more wider in the shoulders, have wider bums, and they're just very stocky, sturdy horses and very comfortable to ride. So I love it. Marwari horses, they're extremely intelligent, and they were a lot of fun for me to work with. Now, these horses came to India from the Mughals, from Persia. So these horses were designed and bred for war. So traveling long distance is what they were made to do, and carrying heavy weight and heavy armor and equipment at the same time. So these horses are great for endurance, and the only down thing is you can only actually ride them and find them in India. They are not allowed to be exported from the country of India. We have other videos on our channel about how you can ride Marwari horses in India, so hopefully you'll check them out. Number 4 is the Teak. Now, this horse I've also had the pleasure of riding, however, not in Turkey yet. That's actually one of my bucket lists. Now, the Teaks, I would say, are kind of like the Marwari, because actually the Persians, as I mentioned, who came, the Mughals who went into India, well, they also, as we know, went to Turkey, okay? There was the Ottomans. So the Teaks are a bit similar to the Marwaris, only they don't have ears that touch, but they're a little bit stockier. Some of them are very lean in figure, and they're very, very great for long distance and for endurance riding. They can go for miles and miles and miles. They don't get too hot because they live in desert countries. And actually there's a country you might not have heard about called Turkmenistan, where they actually worship the Teak horses, and they breed them, and there's a whole lot of information again in our podcast, Equestrian Adventuresses podcast. We have an episode where a woman actually went to Turkmenistan and she shares her experiences with the Teak horses. It's definitely worth checking out. Number 5 is the Mongolian Horse. Now, this is one of my favorites, and like I said, I've done the Mongol Derby, but I've also ridden horses in Mongolia just for fun. And in Mongolia, the thing that I love about these horses is they're very small. Like, they're actually ponies, they're not horses, but they don't know that they're ponies. They have a big heart, and in Mongolia, they actually use them for the nomadic games, or the Nadan races. Now, racing and wrestling and archery are the 3 main sports in Mongolia, and so when I say racing, I don't mean a 1-mile loop around a pristine track. I mean they throw on little 5-year-old kids on these horses, which are bareback, and they just let these horses go for like 30 kilometers at a full speed gallop. And these horses, you know, they live basically wild. They're kind of semi-wild. They're more, let's say, feral, because the herders, the nomadic people, they own them, but they don't have any fences. They don't cage them in. You know, the horses live free in a herd as they would do in the wild. They actually, the Mongolian people, they move their gers based on the movement of the herds of their animals. So these horses are pretty sure-footed. They know what they're doing. They mean business, and they can go for hours. Again, the downside about Mongolian horses is you can only ride them in Mongolia. You cannot ride them anywhere else. It is forbidden to export them. The Mongolians treasure the Mongolian horse. So if you want to ride them, you're going to have to visit the Equestrian Adventuresses website and figure out how you can do that. We have a resources link, which I'm going to include down below. Number 6, this horse. I love this horse, okay? I've only recently had the privilege of riding this horse when I was in South America, in Brazil, and I actually participated in a 750-kilometer endurance race on Crayola horses. Now, Crayola horses are a breed that I think are underestimated by a lot of people in the West. You know, we just don't realize how amazing they are. And these horses, they are amazing. So they are truly bred and designed for endurance purposes, and in South America, they're very popular for endurance because they have a endurance sort of racing breed, or a line of breeding, which they are very proud of, and that is why I, went and actually I filmed and documented this race in Brazil, 750 kilometers over 15 days. It's hosted every year in Brazil and in a few other South American countries as well. So, in South America, a lot of people realize and know the specialness of the Criollo, but one of the things that one of the vets actually said to me, which I think is very true about Criollos now that I've had the chance to ride them and actually witness them participating on this event, the vet said the problem with Crayola horses as a vet is they don't show pain. So the vets have to be extremely cautious. The Arabians will kind of show them right away that they shouldn't continue. Whereas the Criollos, they're very stoic, very noble, very regal creatures, and they're very sturdy and very hardy. And he said that as a vet, sometimes the vet checks can be very difficult because the vets have to be very, very careful with the Criollos to be sure that the Criollo is not trying to continue the endurance race, even though they might be a little bit sore or have a little bit of something going on. So the Crayola horses are very majestic, they're very hardy, and they're very determined to carry their rider all the way to the end of the horizon, basically. Number 7, I had the privilege of riding Icelandic horses when I was in Greenland to film for our Greenland documentary. Again, you can find it on the Equestrian Adventuresses website. And the Icelandic horse, again, they're ponies, okay? I'm sorry, but they are ponies. But these little things, they can go and go and go and go. And I love these little ponies. I mean, they have hair flying, like they're so fluffy. I will say that because they are used to cold countries like Iceland and Greenland and, cold places, they would do well in, Scandinavian stuff. So I don't know exactly how they might do in a very long endurance ride if it's very, very hot out. However, these little ponies are used to kind of, again, living basically semi-wild in the mountains and here and there, and they're very sturdy, very hardy little horses. Half of the time they don't even need horseshoes, like they're pretty good, depending on where they were raised and whatnot. And these little horses are little machines. They're the little engine that could. And the great thing about these horses is that they are gated. They have a extra gait called the tolt, and it's very smooth. I mean, you can actually hold a cup of tea and drink it while you're riding them at a full trot or a canter, and they're very comfortable. So I enjoyed riding the Icelandic horses, and these would make great endurance horses. Of course, again, if you're watching the weather. Number 8 is the Peruvian Passo. Now, this breed I haven't actually ridden myself. However, I have a lot of members in our Facebook group who have. These are also from South America, from Peru. And these horses also have a gait. They're very smooth to ride, and they're just very sure-footed, very determined little horses, and they can just go and go and go. Number 9, and this is a fun one, which a lot of people might not be expecting, are actually mules. Now, mules, a lot of people would not think would make great endurance horses. And during our podcast, Equestrian Adventuresses, there was a woman who actually went to Colombia, and she got assigned a mule, which she was originally not very happy about because she had a lot of stereotypes about mules. And she said when she rode that little mule, and it was a girl, that she had the time of her life. That mule was actually a working cattle mule, and in the mountains and in the crazy terrain, this little mule thrived, and she could trot and canter up crazy situations and trails and paths that a normal horse would not be able to cope with. So she definitely recommended mules, and I know I've seen a lot of other members in our group who have mules, and they compete on endurance rides and they thrive. Now, mules are known as the ultimate ATV, all-terrain vehicle. So mules are definitely, if you're living somewhere rocky or mountainy or steep or whatever, mules are what you want. There's a reason that we ride them in the Grand Canyon, and there's a reason that mules do what they do. And number 10. Now, this one, again, a lot of people might not be aware that they actually made really good endurance horses, and that would be thoroughbreds. And my husband has a thoroughbred. He rides her in endurance. And also, we have another video, can thoroughbreds or off-the-track thoroughbreds do endurance? And of course the answer is yes, but also the great thing was after I posted that video, we had a lot of people commenting their personal stories about how they're not just competing in 100-mile endurance races, but they are actually winning against Arabian horses on thoroughbreds. Now, that's pretty amazing, and I think that they're very underdog. A lot of people don't really realize how capable and awesome they are, but thoroughbreds can definitely compete in endurance. Of course, you have to, take care, train them, make sure that they're fit and healthy. Like all horses in all breeds can participate in endurance, especially to certain levels. So I think that this video hopefully has opened your eyes to the fact that a lot of horses out there can make excellent endurance horses, even some ones that you probably weren't considering before. So hopefully this video has been helpful to you, and remember to comment below if there's any other breeds or horses that we have missed which you are competing in endurance on, maybe an Appaloosa or whatever, a miniature horse. And thank you so much for watching. Happy trails!